Here we are back. I'm Jermaine Morris, here with the one and only Mr. Berry Accius.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Bringing the newest installment of the Say Something podcast.
Say something, say something, say something.
Where we get together and talk about different stuff going on out here in this life, out here in this world, out here in these streets.
Yes, sir.
Subjects that we think need to have a little light shed on them. Stuff that we think everybody should be talking about and something that we want to say something about.
Man, a lot to say.
So, what's going on out here in the world? What's something that you want to shed a little light on first, Barry? Who out here do we need to put under the hot lights?
Woo-wee! It's been a crazy week already, and I think we got to talk about your man, the lead sipper, Mr. Wayne.
My guy.
Your guy.
My guy.
Your guy.
I'm an Ice Cube fan.
Well, you know.
But I get it. Dwayne Carter, a.k.a. Weezy F Baby.
Please say the baby.
a.k.a. Lil Tunchi. Taking some heat this week over his comments when he was interviewed about Black Lives Matter. In case you were under a rock, in case you missed it, he was interviewed. What does he think about the Black Lives Matter movement? And he said, "I'm not connected to it." He said, "I don't worry about stuff I'm not connected to." And that move, like he was first off, he had to look like the Riddler, like all these question marks, like what is that?
Yeah, for real.
Like what was Black Lives Matter? I ain't connected to it, and you a fool if you connected to something that ain't got nothing to do with you. And even followed to say, he's like, he said, forget Black Lives Matter. He said, my life matters, especially to my bitches.
Yeah. Or remember, what's that other line that he said that was hilarious? He was like, if Black Lives Matter, I'm a motherfucking.
Yeah, he said. He said, he's more or less paraphrasing that he's rich.
Yeah.
And so by virtue of the fact that he's rich as a black man, then obviously Black Lives Matter because his life must matter because that's how he's rich.
Hey, that shit was hilarious. And he said, I mean, it was ignorant. But it was hilarious when he said it, and just looking at his facial expressions. Like, if anyone has not seen it, don't just listen to the audio.
You got to watch the interview. You got to watch. Go to YouTube or whatever.
Watch his facial expression. He's high off dope. You know what I'm saying? It's more than just lean. He's coked out. He's just a train wreck. And when he said some of those things, you just laugh at the ignorance, but then at the same time, you have to accept his truth. As much as we want to try to pretend as if he's outing black folks and different things of that nature, his truth was exactly what he said. That's why I'm not mad at what a coon like him says, because I don't expect nothing from him anyway. Yeah,
he came out. I mean, yeah, good for his perspective. He was like, "Look, I'm rich and I'm black. And I make my money, the bulk of it, off of white people. So by sheer virtue of that, my life must matter to somebody, or to quite a few people."
And at the same time, he said something similar to that when he was on Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp.
Said right? he doesn't see race because most of his fan base is white.
Yeah, basically racism doesn't exist. And that's the problem that we have with a lot of these silly Negroes. It's that when they reach a pinnacle, when they get to the top of the mountain, right? OJ, Bill Cosby, the Negroes forget the shade of black that they are. You are still a Negro.
Okay, I think that's a little different. Because I don't think that Bill Cosby forgot he was black. I think he forgot where he came from. And there's a difference in that. Because Bill's whole campaign was about black people. He never shook that. He never all of a sudden thought he was white or got on some other stuff. He was just like, it went from us to then big me, little you. Like what y'all do, how you guys act, how you guys are. Like he still knew he was black. He just thought he was a better black person.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing about with Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne knows he's still black. He's just a different kind of ignorant black. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I make the difference between him as opposed to OJ.
All them mother effers. I mean, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. I think that's a little bit. I'm not saying not justifying it, but
category of not staying true to the soil. And we're not saying stay true to the ignorance, but stay true to who you are. And it's funny because when you look at Lil Wayne and we see one of the particular things that I was really turned off about was he pulled out that red rag.
Yeah, said, I'm a gangbanger. I'm connected, more or less.
I'm connected to this.
Yeah, drop mic and bounced out.
And when you have a guy like that, and I heard later on he's apologized, which I think the apology is far gone now. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
I think that the apology is very telling. And this is why. So the reason why he said that he was agitated about the interview is because at the beginning of the interview, there was references to his lyrics. Like he said about how, you refer to women as bitches and hoes, this, that, and the other. You have a daughter. So you realize that when you're saying these things, are you saying these things about her? And so I guess part of him, he took offense that thinking that the journalist was referring to his daughter as a bitch and a hoe, though those were the lyrics that he used. Because one of his things is like initially his response was, what did he say? He said, all the stuff that I've been saying has made me very successful. So if it takes me being, degrading, then you can keep it up. I'm gonna keep it up. So keep looking out for more degrading stuff. But when she referenced, does your daughter fall into this category of how you say about all these women? Then he got into his feelings. And from then on, for the rest of the interview, it was like a chip on his shoulder, and he had an attitude.
I don't give a shit about any of that.
No, I'm not saying that.
I mean, I hear it, I get it, whatever. Bottom line is, let's move away from the Black Lives Matter just for a second. Let's look at the content of now. You are embracing something that you and I ourselves have been challenging individuals to step up and really kind of get together as a unit and do the street violence that we have in every community. Here in Sacramento, we've been forefronting a whole lot of different initiatives to kind of get our young people, girls and boys, to kind of think something different, right? Yeah. And here you have it on a national newscast as far as Nightline that he was on. You're pulling out. You're 30-something plus. You're not 25. You're not 19. You're 30-something plus. You are a millionaire. Yeah. Regardless of how much money baby is holding from you. Then all of a sudden you're claiming that I gang bang. How does that help our work? That creates more work for us because we got these little kids that still follow behind some of the crap that these guys do, like Lil Wayne, and then they're going to be like, oh man, shoot, I'm just going to try to do it. I'm going to be gang banging for the rest of my life because we know people our age that don't got millions that are still banging. Yeah,
and his whole thing is he removed, so you got to, he's got money. So if you're a young, impressionable person coming up,
understand that
you're sitting there saying, I want to see. He ain't worried about this, Black Lives Matter. He's not worried about politics, whatever. He just about he's about these streets and his money. Here's the difference. What Lil Wayne went to jail for when he had to do that little break when they put him on timeout for I think it was for like the weapons charge stuff. He got a little timeout and a slap on the wrist because he's rich. Any of these young, impressionable people who want to come out and try to follow suit behind him, it won't be a slap on the wrist for you. And I think that that's something that needs to be said, that when we see these, these rappers, whether they be athletes, movie stars, whomever, who exhibit a certain kind of behavior, and then we think that because we like what they do, or, we like their movies or like their music, or we watch them on Sunday or Tuesday night on TNT, that because they get a slap on his wrist for acting stupid, that you think that you're going to get the same result when you turn around and start acting like them.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of the false illusion that some of our young people and adults fall into all the time. I mean, the funny part about it all, man, is just like this is typical Negro behavior in a world where as long as you're a Negro that meets the status quo, as far as when I say the status quo, white America loves black America when you're entertaining or saying something that's totally disruptive to our community. That's the time they like the Negro. When you're doing something different than that, you're starting to shake up the establishment. Nah. Negro, entertain or put your people and persecute your people and put them publicly into hell. So him going out there, just putting his words in his mouth and coming back with this I apologize shit.
Yeah.
Because we're a forgiving people, right? So yeah, Lil Wayne, we forgive you. Like, get this Negro up out of here. He contradicts everything he's been saying, because there's been plenty of lyrics that he's had that has talked about what? Police brutality. That has talked about what? Racism. Remember when Katrina happened? His hometown.
Yeah.
You know how many songs he created that was talking about how the government kind of disrupted his community, how it kind of shaped a different view of how he saw America. Then all of a sudden now he's forgotten all about this. Yeah. That's why it's almost comical when you hear stuff like this from individuals like this in the height of it. Do I fall into the ideology of what Black Lives Matter? I don't. So him saying, Black Lives Matter, I don't really understand it. Kind of like when we were talking about off record with Elaine Brown when she broke it down. Give some understanding and some base behind it. Yeah. Get it. But when you're ignorant behind it and just flat out stupid behind it, you're just kind of like, man, bro, you had a moment to really define if you didn't feel it, but understanding, yes, it does. Just because you became one of the 1 million, the one out of the million of black people that got discovered and is making money, doesn't mean that this is everybody else's journey. And you also have to remember, if Lil Wayne wasn't Lil Wayne spitting that garbage, would he be Lil Wayne in Fifth Ward, or would he be Lil Wayne in Hollywood?
Yeah, he'd be low if he even made it this far. For real. For real. And just to kind of put it in perspective, if you don't know the story in regards to Elaine Brown, she was of the original Black Panther Party. She was asked about her perspective on the Black Lives Matter movement. Another sidebar to that is for people to be aware. Black Lives Matters, though it is labeled as a movement, it's a group. So it's an entity. Yeah. So when people think
it started 2012 or something?
Well, it came off of the Michael Brown.
You know what? It's conflicting because I heard that it actually was off the Trayvon Martin.
No, it came after. It came after Trayvon.
That's what I.
Well, here's the thing. The phrase may have been after.
I think the
Trayvon, but the organization got its steam. Maybe I don't know the day it started.
Exactly. I think the organization got real legs with the Mike Brown,
because that was the hashtag that was used, and then that's so when people get it together. That is an actual group. So when you say Black Lives Matter, yes, it sounds like a theme and it sounds like a message and a movement, but it is a group, it is an organization. And so her comment was, she said that, she didn't get it. She didn't necessarily agree with it. She didn't understand it, because she said that, they'll protest, but they won't rise up in an organized fashion. Like there's no agenda, there's no blueprint, there's no plan. Yeah. You just show up, protest, and make noise, and then everybody goes home and no one really knows where we go tomorrow.
And I interviewed Elaine Brown 2015. She talked about that. And that's kind of where, when I was kind of petitioning the whole Black Lives Matter thing, that's where I kind of was like, when I got some real understanding from one of my elders, like I really kind of looked at it and saw it from a different standpoint. You know what I mean? Because you're caught up in the emotion. And when it kind of really trickled down in this area in Sacramento, it never was like chapters. It was never like a organization. It was pretty much a battle cry. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of like, we're going to go out here and kind of irritate and let people know that, these lives of these black people that got killed, they are just as human as you, right? Yeah. But in a connotation, when I spoke to her, she said the bizarreness of it where we're basically asking the oppressor that has been oppressing us to take into consideration please, our life matters, and it's almost bowing down. No, it's not almost, it is bowing down. So then I looked at it and I scratched that, even though I respect some of what the Black Lives kind of hashtag has done as far as put light on a lot of situations and kind of opened up the conversation in a sense. But I don't like that now that it's every time a black organization comes out, it's like, well, are you Black Lives? It's like, no. And you know what? Really, it's Black Power matters, because when you talk about power and extremely changing the narrative of the black community, it has to come with taking back what we used to have and rebuilding things that we've had before. And that's power structure. You get what I'm talking about? That's not asking anybody, hey, could you? No, that's like, you know what? Screw you. We're going to do this. And that's when, white America starts getting fidgety. If Lil Wayne was out there speaking truth to power and says, well, you know what? I don't really follow the code of Black Lives Matter, but all black people should stand up, and economically we need to get together. And matter of fact, I'm going to start going to different states and start building these different apartment complexes or businesses. That's the kind of thing that will say, Lil Wayne, you're going to be the next Malcolm X, because guess what? They don't want that to happen, man.
Well, the first thing is that what is he now? The T-Mobile guy? The Sprint guy? What is Lil Wayne now? Where he pouring champagne on the phone, everybody's like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, he's not messing with none of them checks. He's not about to mess with none of the church's money. And so he is not getting involved in anything. And to me, first off, fine. Because everybody ain't cut from that cloth. Like, everyone is not socially aware, socially conscious, where they feel like they need to take a stand, regardless of their tax bracket. Yeah. Now, you would think that if you have a certain degree, you have a certain platform, a certain degree of influence, that you should use that influence, a betterment of your community or where you come from, whatever. But everybody just ain't built that way. Yeah. So, but if you're gonna sit there and say, okay, like you said, Black Lives Matter, I don't rock with it, I don't get it, I don't understand it. Whatever, like, if just, it's a group. If I got in an interview and asked somebody, well, how do you feel about the Rainbow Coalition? You could just as easily say, I don't know nothing about that. I couldn't tell you how it works. I don't know who's, whatever. Good luck to them, and leave it alone. Yeah. His problem is that this is coming off of multiple instances where he, right, like I said, with Shannon Sharpe on Undisputed, with Skip Bayless also, I don't see race isn't an issue, race isn't a factor. And this is a trend of a lot of
entertainers, man.
Celebrities.
Black celebrities. You have white celebrities that don't speak on it. Yeah. And then you have black celebrities when they do speak on it, because they're in the system. And just like you said, they want those checks coming in. Yeah. They don't ever shake the narrative too much. Yeah. Like the only real actor that's done it is the young man. What was Greg Anatomy? What is his name?
The guy who got fired for the slur.
Not Isaiah Washington.
Oh, Jesse Williams.
Yes,
I never watched. I forgot he was. Jesse Williams. Yeah, that's a person who's not afraid about worrying about his check. Yeah.
And as you can see that, because he's not afraid, is he still even on Greg's Anatomy?
I've never watched the show, so I couldn't even tell you. But I know he's still working. I know there's a bunch of projects and stuff that's going on. The fact of the matter is for all intents and purposes, he's a very articulate, very intelligent, light-skinned, mixed, good actor. He'll find work. Like, he'll be working because his market value of packaging is good. Somebody always take a chance on him. They'll tell him, hey, keep that extra talk for your weekends. But they'll use him. Now I'm sure it hurt some of his opportunities.
Oh, most definitely. Because just thinking about it, I haven't seen that much of him since his Grammy. What it was not? It was going to BT speech. And it was a powerful moment. Even though the only thing I criticize is that there's a lot of people, and even though he gave a shout out to the people, there's a lot of people that's been putting the groundwork. Like, let's not just don't get called to activism because now Hollywood actors are saying it. But I was very appreciative of it. But in the same sense, it's almost like it falls on deaf ears because we continue to just kind of go along with whatever the matrix is and go along with whatever the trend is. And that's what kind of frustrates me a little bit.
So I guess the better part would be is, okay, so you've got a certain sect of entertainers who come out of black celebrities who speak negatively. You know, Wendy Williams, who said we need to get rid of HBCUs, historically black colleges.
Then takes back what she says.
Yeah, when she felt the backlash. You got Stacey Dash, so she get rid of BET and anything, the Black History Month, all that stuff needs to be removed. You got Raven Simone, who says, I'm not African American, I'm American. Like don't put that label on me, I'm not a color.
And what it does, it allows racism to continue and allows white folks to get a pass.
Okay, so if so you have that group, so I guess maybe the question is, what's more damaging? So you have the group who says stuff like that, you know, Wendy Williams, get rid of HBCUs, Stacey Dash, whatever, or you have the group that says nothing. Because you've got these people who have made major money, major influence, who could be doing quite a bit with their platform. Now, granted, they may not be doing anything negatively, but they're not doing anything positively. They're just letting those fools just run crazy, and they just like, well, I'm just going to sit over here.
I think they're both. I think both. I mean, I think both of them are very damaging, because when we look at it, when you really, really want to get down, like to the makeup of what's going on with us, I honestly believe, and I talked to somebody the other day, we're talking about different individuals who, you know, speakers that go through and they speak and, you know, get paid, and, you know, black power men and all that different type of stuff. I think that every single one of us as individuals have to look at ourselves, all right, what are we really doing to push the next level, right? So we have a lot of black millionaires all over the place in different fields. You know, we have a lot of influence, right, politically, and even in the streets, you know, in the industry as of like Hollywood or whatever. We have a lot of blackness that is being utilized right now in Hollywood as well, that they're using our culture. That it's a renaissance. As we've come back into finding some of our roots, they've come back to seeing, oh, black is really popular again. So we're going to be putting black shows, because there's been a lot of popular black TV shows, from Empire to Atlanta to Power, just to Blackish, just to name a few, right? Yeah. So the emergence of black media has really responded well. Yeah. None of these Negroes, as a coalition, not saying as individuals, none of them actually really stand and step up and create platforms or create industries, right? Like, no one's coming and calling you or calling me, say, hey, we're coming to Sacramento. We know you guys are doing some great work here. We have $10,000 to invest. As long as you have $10,000, we can make something happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, at a small scale. Negroes ain't doing that. And that becomes the issue, because the problem that we have is you Negroes want to fly out here, tell us what to do, but then not going to show us what to do, and not going to put the money to help us do what we're supposed to do, right? And that's what I look at it like. I'm looking at it on the scale of, we got all these millionaires. Yeah. We got all this influence. We got a lot. We got people graduating out of these colleges, whether it's HBCUs or regular colleges, just all over the place. The Negro was smart. We got black women that are excelling right now. We have all these sororities, all these fraternities that have influence, major influence, and we're still in this situation. So then you have to look at it like, who's really the culprit in all this?
Well, I guess if you look at the people who by influence you see on TV the most, or you hear on the radio the most, if they're not campaigning to say this is what we need to do, then if you're the person who's, you know, going to Howard and you're graduating, well, I take it back. HBCUs may be a little bit different, because they actually do have a slightly different campaign on campus. But if you graduated from Stanford, you went to Boise State, you went to Miami, whatever, and there's nobody who looks like you who's campaigning like should be the move for the people. Like, I think if you take somebody, one of the most influential people right now, Kevin Hart, who you've never heard a peep out of when it pertains to social issues. You know, he's not getting on board with nothing because he got a lot of checks rolling. Right. He got multiple movies coming out.
But what I will say, for all his corny crap that he does, what he did do that showed me a power move, he literally came to Sacramento and started working and did a little, I don't know, reality show or some kind of...
Yeah, he's got a network going on that he's doing where it's a new platform to help launch other comics and help them keep their... He's doing a lot on the business side of the game.
So that I can commend. He is at least doing something to set people up. You get what I'm talking about? Like, everyone... This is what I'm trying to say. We all don't need to get into the political realm. We don't all need that. But when you have a Kevin Hart, say what you want to say with the brother, who could easily not give two damns about what any of these artists are doing, right? Like, I'm going to worry about me. I'm making my monies. I look good with taking pictures with The Rock, looking like a damsels in distress, and Rock is this big guy, you know what I'm saying? Because every picture Kevin Hart seems it's like he's just the guy.
Well, he's like 4'10".
It's like Jesus. But I mean, it looks like he's just a little boy that's waiting for daddy to come save him. But anyway, at least he's creating economic opportunity.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. He's used his star power to branch off and create other venues to support other people. I'm saying that as a collective, that doesn't happen. When's the last time have we heard any plan from Al Sharpton? Al Sharpton is sitting back right now trying to figure out what is he going to do as soon as Obama leaves. Because when Obama leaves, Al Sharpton's going to leave. He's no longer going to be even a factor because they're not going to need him. Even if I don't know if he still has a TV show right now.
I'm sure I know he's got a radio show, and I think he still works for whatever network.
But it's CNBC, right? Yeah, but as soon as Obama's gone, that CNBC show is going to be gone. Trust and believe that.
Yeah, I mean,
trust.
No. I'm not talking about the show. I'm saying I think that there's a certain degree of relevance that he'll keep because him and Jesse.
Bro,
you got to remove our age because to the older generation, they're Jesse, Messy Jesse and Slick Al are still relevant to an older generation.
But they will not gain. The reason why Sharpton is on TV is because of because of Obama. That's it. Access.
He was on TV before. He's been because this is the thing, and this is why the snitch tapes that came out about with the CIA and Al Sharpton years ago is that Al has been in the pocket for 50 years.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's the liaison to black people. He's one of them. So he's not going anywhere. They're just going to use him in a different capacity.
I don't think his show's going to be on.
I'm not talking about a specific show. I'm saying they'll just use him in a different capacity. He's not going anywhere.
He's going to always be utilized, for sure. We can agree to disagree on that. Yes, he will be utilized. But in the same content of going back to the particular point that I'm making is, bottom line, those Negroes aren't coming down here laying out plans, all right? They're not coming out to communities saying, here's a startup of $50,000 to do this, or we can try to do this. Well, who is entrepreneurs? What I'm saying is, to the degree of what and why we're stuck in the position we're stuck in, you do not have people that have the money, that have the capability, that have the resources, that come even try to even incorporate building outside of their little fortress, right?
So a little bit different, because you've got guys who have been for years coming with blueprints, campaigns, ways to raise money. And we as a people just did. Dr. Claude Anderson's been on the same hustle since the 60s, damn near. And different financial structures, different ways to address it on the political level, on the education system, when it comes to personal finances in the home, as well as restructuring communities and helping dollars get circulated. He's been on that campaign for decades. It's not that nobody was coming through with a plan. He had a very detailed plan. We just didn't listen to him.
He has a detailed plans, but at the same time, does he have detailed funds? That's what I'm saying. There are individuals, and you got to remember, a lot of these Negroes who've had these plans, right? A lot of these Negroes who had these ideas, these scholars, or even if they weren't scholars, like just now, their popularity has increased because of the consciousness that has grown in our community, right? Okay. So what I'm saying is, before, I don't think, unless you were, Dr. Claude Anderson, he's a doctor, so he might have been getting maybe $4,000 to do lectures. I don't really think so, but he could have. Now, Negroes are getting $4,000, right, per lecture. So let's say, for instance, we have a black man or black woman. They're getting $4,000 per lecture, right?
Okay.
They lecture for 20 days out of the month, right? 31 days in a month, right? So now, here you have them, because they come down here, everything's paid for. You got $4,000 come out speak. Oh, on top of that, because you got these people that just want to donate to your cause and your movement and your ideas. Now you got another $4,000 out of that in one state, one city, right?
Yeah.
You walk out of there with $8,000. Let's say you get $8,000 in 20 days.
Okay.
You have $160,000, right?
Okay.
$160,000. What are you pushing back into the communities that you've left and give them the information? Are you sitting there saying, hey, brothers, okay, who are the leaders or the scholars or the elders that's in this community that's setting up foundation? This is the plan that I've utilized here in Detroit.
Yeah,
I want to sit there and do in California, but we have a $10,000 startup that I'm ready to put in. I need you guys to match that. Negroes ain't doing that.
Okay, well, keeping with Dr. Claude Anderson, he did do that. And they set theirs up back east. It was associated with seafood businesses. And so, I mean, it owned cannery, owned department, like it was run through a black-owned business. But bigger picture point is, I mean, there are guys who may not be as big. You've got guys who come through and say, here, this is a way that if you don't have $10,000 to raise, here's a way that you can personally affect your finances. This is a way that you can, Dr. Boyce Watkins just came through. People who've been on board that we just don't listen to. People who've had good ideas that.
But here's my thing. This is why I guess we're and we don't have to see eye to eye on it because it is what it is. I'm looking at it in a perspective of like sometimes, especially with our people show me better than you can tell me. Get what I'm saying? Like, walk me through the process. Like, okay, take my hand and deliver me. Because if these guys, these girls who have us, like, for instance, if LeBron James came right now down to Sacramento, right?
Yeah.
And said, I need a 10,000 strong black men, there'll be 100,000 strong black men, right?
Yeah.
Ready to do whatever LeBron James said. That's the kind of power structure these guys have, right?
Okay.
And we sometimes need, as a people, that certain direction because we've been only thinking when we begin in this directions, right? So all of a sudden you're going to sit there and say, okay, we've been directing you. You've been directed from your slave master. You've been directed from your oppressor all your life. Now all of a sudden we're going to give you, here's some ideas. Go figure it out. No. Break this shit down. Show us how to get this stuff done. That becomes a bigger issue. Like, we have to put our money where our mouth is, and that's why I can say I commend Kevin Hart for that, what he's doing. Because what he could have did was like, okay, you know what, I'm going to give you Negroes an opportunity in Sacramento here. But you know what he did? His ass flew out here and went to the touch of class, dog.
Yeah.
Out of all the venues, right? When I saw it, I was like, nah, he ain't going to be no touch of class.
He specifically went on tour going to the smaller country clubs to find the unknown more so.
That is gangster. That's where I could sit there and say, oh, he's really about trying to step up and set it up. There's a difference between giving directions and then there's a difference with implementing a plan of what the directive actually is. That's how I look at it.
Yes, I do acknowledge the difference. But if one person is going around saying, I figured out a way to make this successful, they can't, and they travel, like you said, 20 cities in a month,
But at the same time, but Negroes ain't giving back. They're not putting no money back.
No, but I'm saying, okay, so you go through, you tour. You do 20 cities in a month. You travel nationwide or internationally, wherever you go. You can't do that in every city you travel to. Like, you can't.
You can't, but you can. But you know what? You're right. You can't, but you can do it in some. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You can leave a trail of some. Here's just me. If I was any of these Negroes, whether I was LeBron, whether I was Oprah Winfrey, Jay-Z, whoever, I mean, I don't care from the highest to the lowest of whatever idol somebody wants to worship.
Okay.
And I had this kind of money, right? And I know I could get this money. Like, what LeBron is doing 2-year deals to get better deals each year.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, let's renegotiate. I had 30 this year. I want 40 next year, right?
Okay.
So the money's coming in, right? And endorsements and things of that nature. You're trying to tell me none of you Negroes can get together? Like 3 of you Negroes, you guys were just on ESPN, Carmelo, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and you guys was all Chris Paul telling us what we need to do and inspiring of the people.
Yeah.
You guys can't tell me that you guys can't go and buy some property and create a strip mall?
Well, you got LeBron who spent millions of his own dollars to send all his kids to school.
I understand that. That's great, and I applaud that.
Okay.
That's great. That's beautiful, and that's excellent. That's not taking anything. But now I'm talking about economics. I'm saying there's more than just the school. That's a good start. But those are from kids in his area.
Yeah.
There's plenty of kids over here that needs the same kind of situation.
Okay, but then wouldn't that be if you're him? Okay, look, I'm in my hometown. I'm starting where I am. I'm with the people where I came up from. It's keeping it real as keeping it real is. Like, I started in my hometown with my home base with, I went to school with so-and-so's cousin, so-and-so know my mama. Like, I started with these kids here in my hometown, and he's actually putting quite a few through school. Like, he breaking some bread to send them kids to
totally
school.
commend him on that.
Millions on that.
Totally commend him on that.
So, wouldn't then it would be, okay, I did my part? Because it's not, okay, I did this for my kids in my school. I'm supposed to do them for kids in L.A. also. I'm supposed to do them for kids in Seattle also. I'm supposed to do them for kids in Chicago also.
And listen, and I listened to what Dwayne Wade, he had an interview, and I think it's a very powerful interview, and he was kind of breaking some things down, like, people expect us as athletes to do everything, right?
Yeah.
And I don't expect them to do everything, because, we are in the forefront of a lot of different things, right? So it's not like Negroes is waiting for you guys to show me the plan because I'm doing whatever. But what I'm saying, if I had those access to that kind of access that they have, right, my whole thing would be a total different situation. Trust and believe that, right? Because at the same time, there's so many different things we need. Yes, LeBron, you're doing it over there, so you team up with your best friend Chris Paul to do it in LA. That's Chris Paul, you're doing it in LA. Now you go team up with Kevin Durant to do it in Oakland, all right? These kind of things have to spread like wildfire. Because right now, the condition of the black folk in every state in this country is critical. Right? We are on life support right now, and Negroes don't even know it.
Okay, so we'll get off of athletes a little bit because most are broke 5 years after retirement. So
tricking.
Well, I mean, just for multiple reasons.
Tricking in
multiple reasons.
Spending on child support, right?
Child support, hush money, being the plug.
Oh man.
You I mean, really, when your mama, your daddy, your sisters, your cousins, brothers, grandma, everybody's on the payroll, but no one's contributing. You done bought mama a house. You done bought. You can go broke.
Yeah,
you can go broke.
Yeah.
So. We have all these people who have a degree of influence, people who have a name to themselves. What is their actual responsibility? Like, I mean, good for real, just because you're good at your job, and does it make a difference if your base is in the community? Because I think it's like 72% of hip hop music is consumed by white people. So if you take your most successful rapper, he didn't make the bulk of his money off of black people.
But black people created who he was and who he is. His sense of what he's selling, it comes from black culture. It comes from black experience. It doesn't come from white experience. If that was the case, then the white rapper would have been more popular before we were. The reason why they are popular is because we allowed them to take our music. We allowed them to basically put a price tag on our culture.
But what I'm saying is, so if that being the case.
No, that's the case.
No, I'm framing it for this question. If that's the case, that's where they got the base and the culture from, then to what degree is the responsibility? I said if to then. Yeah. So you take a rapper, take whomever the top five, whether that be Drake. Okay, you take Drake.
Yeah, he's the guy right now.
So Drake is Jewish and black.
Yeah, he's using that. He's using that privilege.
Jewish and black.
Max.
You don't hear Drake involved in any social issues. You don't hear Drake You've never likened Drake to a Kendrick or a J. Cole because he does not get on that type of subject matter.
A little bit.
A
little bit. But even if J. Cole and Kendrick got on that subject matter, right? They rap about it. What are they doing about it?
I think that, well, first off, their pockets aren't the same. So I think when you
J. Cole probably more than any of those rappers, to be honest, because I know J. Cole has done some stuff.
You know? Yeah, but I think they're more involved in kind of community-based stuff. Their pockets aren't as deep. So they just ain't torn, like they're not doing those types of money. Now I ain't in their pockets. I don't know what they grossing in. I was about
to figure out, like,
but
over there got their paycheck stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, so there's new money. Uh-huh. You know, when you start talking, you know, Kendrick, J. Cole, you're talking about 4 years. You know, it's new money, and they're gradually, and the stuff that they're on is not, you know, they're not single based. They're just not. So, what responsibility do these people owe? Because we look at them when they're out of pocket, when they're talking something reckless, but how valid are they just anyway? You're good at your job. It don't just stop there.
They're valid because they're a pocket full of influence, dog. That's what it is. Like, for instance, I'm influential in a certain degree in my community. That just shows. People utilize me for certain things. I know that, right? So in my responsibility, because I know I have this kind of this spotlight or this influence, I'm now going to let my people and navigate them the correct way compared to saying, nah, young brother, you go get here, get that little hoe, man, put her on a stroll, man, get that money, run that bitch back. That's not my movement.
Okay. Well, I'm saying keep that in mind. Somebody who's really good at their job that they became very famous for. But they're not on that, you know, run the hoe, give me the money, selling drugs, gangbang. None of that. They're just silent. They're good at their job. You know, the Michael Jordan plan.
Michael Jordan plan.
Michael Jordan was definitive. He took a strong stance on not being involved in social issues. Sure. And they was asked, you know, well, what about, you know, all the kids out there in Chicago doing this for you? You know, he was like, you know, white folks buy my shoes too. Mm-hmm. You know, like, dude, I ain't stopping these checks. Like, so, you know what I mean? So for the guys that are just like, I'm good at this. I have a particular skill set. Maybe it's good in sports. Maybe it's good at whatever. That's what I'm good at. That's what gets my money in. That takes care of me and my family, takes care of me and mine. And I'm going to bed.
I feel like as a man, when you wake up, it's a responsibility to take care of the village. I guess I'm old school like that. You know what I'm saying? I guess I'm from a different kind of soil and from a different kind of product. I just don't. I am okay with people having their own thing, right? It's like we talked about it before between integration, Jim Crow law. I still think integration is one of the worst things ever happened to black people. And that's just going to be my stance. But I don't understand why the Negro doesn't look at just having our own basic needs. Maybe have a hospital, maybe have a bank, maybe have a few more schools, you know what I'm saying, that have teachers that look like us, right? You know, just that'd be kind of cool to have in all these different communities. It's just about leverage, dog. That's all I'm saying. So I would just think that on a personal basis, that I don't know if you was with us at the MOB when we actually had some kids walk out in our usual meeting spot, right?
Yeah.
And we had the kids go and get some job applications.
I know, right? I wasn't there, but I remember you telling about it.
Right? And then they go into a lot of these moms and pops ran businesses. Well, one told the Arabs, and the Arabs said, we ain't got nothing for you because it's not for you. It's for our people.
Yeah.
Like, that's the kind of thing. The reason why our kids commit crimes in these neighborhoods is like when, say you're a business owner in this neighborhood, right? Yeah. You see Johnny, you see Andrew, right? Andrew's the smallest one, Johnny's the oldest one. You grab Johnny and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to have you come work with me, or you're going to go, work at my little thrift store, right? Next thing you know, he's working. He doesn't even have time to get involved in criminology in the streets. Why? Because he's already getting paid by you. You're already giving him a check before he can go find his own check, his own way, right? You're already building his ass. So now Johnny's all good. He goes off to college. Bam. Now you take Andrew, right? Okay, Andrew's working. You just basically saved 2 young boys from selling drugs because you were a business owner in your community. You saw these young men. You seen them grow up. You said, hey, you know what? Let me have them work under me. That does not happen in our community because we don't have any businesses in our community. So my thing, right? And when you talk about responsibility, I just would think that it's just the smart common sense thing to do. I guess that's where I'm coming from. Like, you Negroes got all this money, right? Well, why aren't you just getting together? It's like if you and I had $5 million, we would be idiots not to sit there and say, hey, what can we make some money off of? Especially when we know Black people are the biggest consumers. We gonna get that money back, bro. Yeah. We don't even have to sit there and say it's Black owned. We just gotta put a little strip mall over there, put some stores that they usually would go shop at, and bam. It's just responsibility to be able to sit there and say we are sufficiently doing for self. That's all I'm saying. Instead of constantly crying and begging and hoping and praying that someone else who's been doing the same thing for decades and decades and decades, and it's just all it's been is a different mask of what they've done.
Okay, so we get these people who like I said, they became good at a particular job. They had a particular skill set at something that made them a good sum of money. Who aren't cut from that cloth, who don't come from that. And I just personally, I'm not even judging them for it. Because the fact is, if you grew up in a household where nobody was on that, you grew up in a household where nobody was on the entrepreneur thing, they were telling you, make sure you get a job and work for so-and-so such and such. So you came up under a certain mindset, and everybody you know is of the same mindset. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong because you're not a maverick and that you don't think outside the box. That's just who you are. Right. So if you come up and now you've got all this influence, but you don't have that mindset of building these businesses or whatever, because also take in consideration too, when you start talking about Black athletes and entertainers, most of them got into their field relatively young. So even when you hear these stories of the guys like, oh man, me and my mom was Kevin Durant was the MVP. Me and my mom, my brother in a 1-bedroom apartment. You're talking about 16. He cashed out 3 years later. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like these are dudes who went through 15 years of trying to figure out how to feed their babies and out there sleeping and struggling. Nah, you had a hard little patch. Yeah. But you all right now. Yeah. So a lot of these guys don't have that mentality. They don't have that build because they really didn't go through all that. And when they were young and struggling, they weren't the burden bearer of the problem. They're like, oh, it was me and my mom, or it was me and my dad, or it was my family, whatever. Yeah, but you weren't the one who was responsible to keep the lights on. You weren't the one, you know what I mean? So we have a lot of people who make money who aren't wired that way. So my thing is, why are we put so much influence and emphasis on them? But in most cases, we don't put that same degree or even half as much on the people who are successful in our communities. Now, granted, it's on a lower scale, but the ones who are doing well here.
Well, that's what I say. Well, as we first started into this conversation, I say that's the problem overall. It's not just the Hollywood Negroes, the athlete Negroes. It's the fraternity Negroes. It's the Negroes who run around here, you know, talk that good talk, right? It's the church Negroes. It's all these different.
Okay, not to cut you off. So there's a group who gets a pass like no other.
Who?
The church.
Yeah, I was about to just tell you. Yeah.
So before we go to movie stars, before we go to athletes, before we go to rappers.
All the time. The church, dog. You have here, it was in Stockton Boulevard, 5 grocery stores, right, for the Asians, 15 churches for the Negro.
Which is probably a ratio that's, because you remember people hear this wherever, so it's probably a ratio that's familiar to wherever you are where you see a group of Black folks. For the most part, we are church heavy. Like if you can start, you'll find gun store, liquor store, church.
Hallelujah, Jesus. Hallelujah.
So my thing is, if we got anything to say about Lil Wayne, if we got anything to say about, you know, Jay-Z backing Clinton, if we got anything to say about, you know, Snoop up there with Martha Stewart on Saturday and then Cripped Out on Sunday, all that stuff in front of the kids, the church, and this is not a denomination base. This is not the Baptist church, the Methodist church, the Presbyterian church, the whatever. This is the umbrella of church.
You was waiting to say this, huh?
No, I mean, I'm just saying, like, because when we say something to influence, we'll address a Raven Simone, we'll address a Wendy Williams, we'll address a Bow Wow, we'll address a Lil Wayne. We'll look at guys like, well, how come Drake isn't saying this, or how come, I don't know what, Future isn't talking about that, or Fetty Wap ain't saying whatever, whomever the dude is at the time, French Montana, he ain't saying nothing. But we, by and large, the church is just not even on the radar.
Oh, Jesus. Praise Jesus. Hey, bro, listen, man. Hey, I think you was waiting for that one, man.
Nah, I thought about when you said it. It was like, it just hit. Because I'm thinking about, because we're here in Sacramento. Okay, if you're not familiar. So we have, we have a Sacramento Kings. We have a professional NBA team, as well as we're adjacent to the Oakland Athletics, the San Francisco Giants, the San Jose Sharks, the Golden State Warriors. Like we're pretty close. There's a lot of athletes that pass through here, and it's the capital of California. So even though people may not live here, there's a lot of money that comes through here on the regular. So when you start talking, and that's pretty much the case for any major city in America. People may not live there, but money passes through there, especially if it's the capital. We'll sit there and look at what rappers say. We'll look at what actors say. We'll look at, how come Denzel said this, but Will didn't say that? Yeah. How come, Jesse Williams addresses this, but, Pharrell Williams didn't say that? Yeah. But who brings the pastor before the congregation?
They have a $1 billion business. And the stuff that the church used to be about compared to what the stuff that the church is about. And I'm not going to knock every church because, like I said, I do have affiliates that I know that they do good work and they're building. And I see that because I'm hands-on with them.
Yeah. This is some, not all. This is not.
So, but the sum is very few, right? Let's be clear because I don't know too many that go in like this, because the church is a community within itself, not a community outside of what the church is.
Yeah, let me make sure I frame this properly so somebody sees it so they get the idea. I'm not saying that there's not churches that are involved in the community. I'm not saying that there aren't churches that legitimately don't help the disenfranchised. They're not helping the homeless. They're not helping battered women. They're not helping with after school programs. I'm not saying that those churches don't exist. My question is, why isn't that requirement put on the church like it is put on these other people?
But here's the thing,
because it's just like there's rappers that do help, there's actors that do help, but why is not that? Why is not?
And I and you, everybody can get it. You know what I'm saying? So like that's the whole thing. The framework of what we're saying is allowing ourselves to open up the ideas of, okay, well, that's why I said in a sense of we are in this situation. Everybody has to be a part of the solution. You can't just be sitting on the sidelines getting a pass. No, you need to be just doing as much as I'm doing, if not more.
But we both know.
But here's what I'm saying. But the church, going back to the church, in the kind of and just breaking it into the framework, the church, I feel, has become like the biggest scam artists all in the black community, and also has the biggest hustle in the black community because they hustle in Jesus. Like the Negro will give monies after monies after monies to buy their way into heaven. And that's what the church utilizes. What I don't like, you said some categories, after school program, battered women, and all these other.
Yeah, there's churches that do.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, I just want to make sure the people who here know that I do ignite.
But that's the bottom line. That's like the surface. Let's talk economics. Let's talk about growth building. You already got a church, a cathedral. Why do you need another one? What's wrong with that?
The building fund?
I mean, for real. You know what I'm saying? We go ahead and operate as a entity and business as you are, and create and build. Like here just in Sacramento, I can't remember the last time that apartment buildings were being built. And they were just talking about it like, well, there hasn't been apartments being built in certain areas for this period a long time. And what does that mean? That means as the rent goes up, right, people are going to have to figure out, like, dang, where am I going to live? What am I going to do?
Well, okay. Well, just speaking to the Sacramento area for that, and this is probably the case in a lot of cities where they saw a population increase. What they did is that they converted apartments into condos. So, true, they may not be building new apartment complexes. They shifted them over into people have an opportunity for a degree of ownership, and they converted apartments which they've been renting.
But what people though?
Well, I'm just that's just the answering the question of because headlines a lot of times are misleading about certain things, but that's where there wasn't a big boom in new apartments being built is because they converted them into condos. Then the housing market crashed. Then you had a bunch of halfway converted condos, and they ran into a bunch of other problems. But what I'm saying is that when we talk about these are the people who more or less represent us, not your state legislature, not your senator, whatever, but these are the people that represent the community, the ones that get in front of people, the ones who get some shine on them, who get some attention, whether if you do it with a microphone, if you do it on a court, if you do it on the field, whatever. And it's just interesting to me about how we're real good about saying something about people that we think should be using their platform differently, and how easily we let slide those that don't. That's all I was saying.
Because your point is, I totally agree. Because the bottom line, like I said, they sell Jesus. They sell the fact that, hey, I'm your way into heaven. So when you got to that kind of listen, when you got that type of pull, right? And people are absorbed into that, because I believe in a higher power. That don't necessarily mean that I believe like in some of the mythology that was given to me from that Bible, right? Okay. So we're not going to go touch into that, but that's what you can believe, whatever. That's why I can be able to work and operate with church people, but they can't operate with me, because as soon as they hear me say something like that, they're turned off. But if we're supposed to be building, because at the end of the day, and I love the way Malcolm said it, Malcolm broke it down, it's like, he doesn't matter if you're Muslim, you're Christian, whatever, you're still you're still what. And that kind of like defines the ideas that I feel that black people get lost into. Like, we act like we're all in these separate groups. So all our separate groups are doing all these different things, when in reality, we're all in one big group. We decide to separate ourselves. Yeah. We have the same problems. The rich Negro may not have as many problems as a poor Negro on certain financial status, but your overall problem is the same.
Black people in America are the most divided group of people damn near on the planet. We will find every little nuance to separate ourselves from each other. You could take black people of the same city, of the same side of town, the same economic background, the same educational background, the same family structure, and we will separate ourselves by the street that we live on. Like, I mean, you live on 1st Street, I live on 3rd Street. Now all of a sudden we two different beasts. Like, we will find every tiniest thing to find a line of distinction between us.
We will argue and fight someone literally, like you said, that lives right down the street from us, on the corner. Like, this is like Cedar Block and this is Andrew Street, right? Yeah. But as soon as a white supremacist comes in, causing havoc, we're silent. We don't want to do anything. We don't even touch it. We will kill somebody over stepping on our shoes, but when a sister is attacked by the henchmen, we do nothing. It's kind of scary, man, when you kind of like that.
So I would look to say is so when we start talking about these representatives out there, when we start talking about these people who get the light shined on them, what is it going to take? Because we got to be a little solution orientated. So what is it going to take for us to stop giving so much credit? Because you get a guy like Lil Wayne who's influential to a large group of people, but you incorporate the bulk of his fan base is non-black, and the bulk of that fan base is not they're not voters, they're not really producers, they're not working.
Is the bulk of his fan base really non-black, or is it just the bulk of his fan base who are non-black? They are able to afford to go to the show.
No. You go to Lil Wayne's show, it's all white people.
I know that, but I'm saying a lot of black people can't afford to go to these
But no,
shows.
but I'm saying, but if you take, okay, see, this is something we say something too is we black people in America, we set a lot of cultural trends, and we spend our money throughout all these different things that we're involved with. But if you take almost any entity and then look at the money that's behind it, we're not the first in too many things. Like, we don't spend the most on a lot of things. We just spend a lot of money on a lot of stuff. So when you take like if you take a rapper, take like Lil Wayne, the bulk of his audience is non-black, and like I said, and the bulk of that audience are the ones that are black are not ones that are really influential in how things work. So we as adults. No 40-year-old should be looking to Lil Wayne for how to make moves in these streets.
Well, you'd be surprised.
I get it. But I'm saying if we're looking at,
be surprised.
We just got to start finding stuff about who we put all this information and emphasis on. Like all these people that we're giving so much shine and so much light and so much importance.
For what? Like, it's like you really got to sit there and ask yourself, for really what? Like, it's just sad that we have a society that is so dependent on someone telling you, or this God complex or this superhero complex, that we need some type of savior. It's pretty pathetic, man, if you ask me.
We got a lot of people out here who's looking for somebody to follow. A lot of people that are looking for a voice that they need to hear, somebody to shine the light for them to lead the way, somebody to show them which direction, which step to take to because when you come from a history that's been so fractured and so shattered and so traumatized and so abused, it's really hard to be a free spirit, clear-minded thinker. So when we start thinking about the people who are influencing your household, the people who are influencing your children, the people who are influencing you, who are the people that you gravitate to for the information that you need to help you be a better person? Who are the people that are in your kids' ear that's helping them decide the type of person they want to be? Who are you sitting there saying, don't listen to them or listen to that? And who are the people you are silent about who really should be saying something? So when you out here in these streets, would you say something?
You got to say something, man. You got to say something. Shouts out to all the people listening, checking in, tuning in. Berry Accius. YouTube, check me out. Facebook, Berry Accius, BerryAccius. And check out the website, blackblueprints.com. Black Blueprints with a Z.
I'm Jermaine Morris. Jermaine Morris on Facebook. Every other social media is at JMorrisCEO. Bringing you real life without the sweeteners as always. Here with the Mr. Berry Accius, unapologetic as always.
Yes, it was fun.
Yeah.
I think you like that church, man. Church did something to you.
Nah, I ain't got no church beef. But I do think we need to start paying attention to who we listen to. And we appreciate that you listen to us. So if you see the show on SoundCloud or whatever social media platform you get, please feel free to leave a comment. Anything,
share it.
Any subjects you think want to get touched on or whatever, let us know. And until next time, till next show, we'll holler at you later.
Say something.